Myth 12. So this is our last of our 12 myths that came from our community. They asked us to address. And it's interesting. I can't not mention myth 11, which we just did, which was self-reg takes too long to learn and implement, which really is a problem. It's something that we hear a lot, and it does come up as a myth. But this one is the exact opposite. It's easy. I already got it. I saw a presentation once. So this is one out there as well. We have a lot of people that think, because they've heard you speak a couple times, or that they understand what self-reg is.
Well, I wouldn't say it. So,
Me neither.
Right now, this week I've been working on a very simple question: what is motivation?
Yeah.
And in fact, it's one of these concepts that we take for granted. But if you start to look at that question, what is motivation, through the lens of the triune brain, and here what I've been looking at is some really cool stuff that Panksepp did towards the end of his life. You suddenly realize, oh my God, this is a classic example of what we thought was self-control, but in fact it needs to be reframed now in terms of self-regulation. And now I've got all these bells going off and I'm getting all excited again, because not only do I think I'm beginning to understand what's going on here, but I'm beginning to understand it in a way that will really benefit kids, parents, teachers. So this one, it never stops. But it's fun.
I can't stop to laugh because your last one was IQ.
Yeah, well, that was really
I
important for
don't
me.
think I saw you for a month. You get so absorbed in this wonderful way.
But that
you
one, was
yeah.
so exciting
Yeah,
for me. And then motivation is the corollary, by the way, because all these studies coming out showing that motivation, in fact, raises a child. You can manipulate motivation to raise a child's IQ and score.
Right.
And that got me thinking, what's really going on here?
Right.
Because you're just using words without. By the way, there's this great lesson that it's called the synonym dance. It's a term I used when I was back in Oxford.
Yeah.
And that's when you ask a guy, what is motivation? And they start giving you synonyms.
Yeah.
And then eventually they run out and they come back to motivation. So it's like this long, long tautology. And you'll know exactly what I'm thinking of right now.
Absolutely, I do know.
So, and because of the synonyms, you don't see it's actually a tautology, but it is. But the cool thing about doing self-reg is you really are getting away from the synonym dance. You really are beginning to understand, and understand in a way that affects your own life, that affects the lives of those that you're teaching or raising.
Yeah, I've got to jump in on the motivation concept as well, because sometimes I look at my CV, my resume, and I'm like, it feels weird because I've done all these things, right? And I really have accomplished quite a bit. And I look at it and it just feels like it's fake, it feels like it, but it was all me. And yet I've had people tell me I'm the most motivated person in the world, but I'm not. I didn't try to be motivated. It's like you with your motivation. I couldn't think about anything else, and it's consuming in a very lovely way. And there are times that I am sloth. It's like trying to clean. I finally cleaned my basement on the weekend. Trying to make myself do something I didn't want to do or that I wasn't driven to do. That took that effortful control. I went down and I did what I needed to do, but the other piece isn't motivation any more than doing something you were excited to do makes you brave. That I don't know. There's just something in there. So I think it's an important one that you're digging into.
So welcome to the world of self-reg. Once it gets you, it's not going to let go.
Yeah, it absolutely isn't. And you really can't learn this in one video. This video is not going to teach you what self-reg. There's a lot to it. And the science, this is grounded. This is science. So, I think that's an important thing, and there's a ton of science to understand. It doesn't mean you need to know it's not actually about learning all the words or the language, like you even are not interested. It doesn't matter to you whether somebody has terminology or any of those things, but to really get that deeper understanding of what we're talking about and why it matters so much, there's a whole lot of diving in, and science, but then living it and noticing it in your own life is a big part of it as well. So it's not easy, it's doable, it's worth it. It's life-changing, and I hope you'll join. So courses are what we offer. We have webinars. There's books.
So we've just done at the end of this, we've just done the Joseph Campbell of self-reg.
Have we?
Yes.
And what does that mean for the rest of us out here?
You didn't read Joseph
Well,
Campbell on myths?
No, I didn't read Joseph Campbell on myths.
Okay, so myths are always really interesting. Myths are, it's like a little sign on a treasure map that's X marks the spot. Start digging here. So now you have to go back through our 12 myths and see that the more you learn about self-reg, the more each of these opens its own little world of excitement, knowledge, understanding.
Absolutely, I love that. And all we're trying to do with these myths is spark a little bit of a conversation. So if you've had a conversation around any one of the 12 that we've covered, great. And that's kind of part of the digging in. That's your X and where to start. So thank you.